Surprise! Ban and restricted update for both Pioneer and Explorer, effective date today. Before we dive into the details here, I would just like to give a general reminder to everybody watching this that Magic the Gathering is not your entire life. It is a game that you should be playing for fun. And if you find yourself incredibly frustrated or mad with the decisions Wizards is making or the directions that they're taking with formats, take a break. There's a ton of great games out there that you can play for fun in addition to Magic. Magic will always be there when you come back around, but life is short and it's not worth getting mad over changes to a game. That being said, let's go ahead and dive on into some choice decisions that they've decided to make here today. So we have banned Winota in Pioneer, which the first thing that jumps out in my mind when I read Winota is now banned in Pioneer is that they almost assuredly knew that this was coming when they banned it in Explorer. And if that was the case, why did they feed us the line in the Explorer ban announcement that they would reassess putting Winota back into the format when we got more cards into the format? So that could be, maybe they didn't. Maybe there's different teams making these decisions, but either way, there's definitely, an ever-present communication problem inside of Wizards of the Coast that we see here yet again with the communication between this update and the update that we had in Explorer not long ago where they banned Winota. Expressive iteration is banned in Pioneer and Explorer. I'm not really surprised by this removal. I think you could make the argument that Expressive iteration is probably one of, if not the best card advantage spell that's been printed in the last decade in Magic the Gathering. It's just so powerful. I don't think it was at a point in Explorer specifically where it had enough help for it to be particularly good there, but I definitely would believe that this card was really good in Pioneer with a deeper card pool, and then banning it in Explorer is them just matching the Pioneer ban list to the best of their ability, because remember, Explorer is eventually going to become Pioneer as we add more cards to the platform. All right, let's take let's read through some of the details here. We want Pioneer to provide a diverse experience as possible built on an ever-growing collection of standards past. It became clear that Naya Winota was suppressing diversity as its power and consistency have drastically reduced incentives to play other linear creature-based strategies. Not only is it a resilient mid-range deck that can leverage powerful mana creatures available to the format, but explosive draws, namesake, create unassailable game states as soon as turn 3. So, this is almost assuredly accurate. Now, my problem, and this is again, if you've heard me talk about ban lists, this is a consistent sticking point for me personally, is that explosive draws create unassailable battlefields as soon as turn 3. So, is this our line in the sand? And if so, if this is our line in the sand, we can't have an unassailable game state on turn 3? Why is Greasefang still legal? Why is Lotus Field still legal? Why are all the other things that create unassailable game states on turn 3 still legal? What if you want this to be your line in the sand? And for what it's worth, I actually think this is a great line in the sand. I think making the conscious decision to be like, we don't want games to effectively be over on turn 3 in Pioneer, I think that's a great balanced decision. But commit to it. Don't just ban Winota and leave the handful of other things that let this happen in the format be legal. Make a commitment and actually manage the format. I don't think removing Winota specifically is inherently bad. What is inherently bad is removing Winota and citing the reasons you're removing it and not removing the other things that also commit those offenses. this line also also really jumps out at me. The ability to create frustrating removal check gameplay. That's most of modern Magic the Gathering, and that's not even limited to Pioneer. Like, how many games in Standard come down to did the Goldspan Dragon untap, right? Like, all of Magic these days, the power level of threats is so far pushed up that if you don't answer so many cards, the game is just over if you didn't have the Doomblade or the interaction at the key point. So I again agree with this statement that removal check gameplay tends to be frustrating, but I also find it annoying, obnoxious, whatever you want to call it, that we're calling out Winota for creating removal check gameplay when modern Magic the Gathering design is effectively almost all removal check gameplay. That is by and large what the game is about at its core these days. You either have removal spells and make the removal check, or you play something else that's linear and you race the thing that's also, you're trying to removal check your opponent simultaneously, basically. Those are the two types of decks. Decks that can have removal to make the removal check, or decks that are racing and presenting removal checks themselves. This is something I want to see. Okay, we recognize that there are several other powerful card draw spells, notably Cruise and Dig Through Time. We currently believe, I'm gonna finish reading, then I'll give a thought on it. We currently believe that Delve spells contribute to blue decks in Pioneer, having a unique identity among Eternal formats. As Pioneer's card pool has fewer strong cantrips and no fetch lands, we're hoping the many Delve cards can be continued a part of the format as a more moderate power level compared to how they would play in other non-rotating formats. I actually really like this. One, I think carving out Pioneer in a way to offer play patterns that are different from other non-rotating formats is excellent. And it's been a while since I've gotten to cast either of these spells because they're just like not legal anywhere. And they're actually really fun, sweet spells to cast. So I think trying to make it so Pioneer is a place where you can cast these cards, notably with the call out of there not being fetch lands, I think that's good. I think these are cards that people will be like, I play Pioneer because it's the format where I get to cast Dig Through Time and where I get to cast Treasure Cruise. I think that's great, and this is a good. I'm glad that they acknowledge that they're trying to do that, and I think that this is a good thing that they are looking to do. We noted that we would revisit the ban with the release of Dominaria United. However, now that Winota joined our forces banned in Pioneer, it will just be banned in Pioneer or Explorer going forward. So, again, like, this is like a lack of communication and forethought on their part. I think if they thought there was a chance they were going to ban Winota in Pioneer, they shouldn't have banned it in Explorer simultaneously, or beforehand. They should have just done it simultaneously at the start. All right, now for some fun commentary, chat. Other formats. Our data from Platinum and higher Magic Arena ladder shows that the standard metagame is in a healthy spot. And listen, chat, the standard metagame is in a healthy spot, and they have the data to show it, but the data goes to high school in Canada, and I also can't get her on a video call because her phone doesn't work and she doesn't have any internet there, but trust me, she goes to high school in Canada and she exists, but you can't see her. Various 3-color mid-range decks are the most played archetypes, the most popular of which, Esper and Grixis, occupy about 10% of the metagame. Jeskai variants featuring Hinata and Lear have been growing in popularity, but remain with healthy populations and win rates. I'm gonna pull this back up because it was funny. We were talking about it earlier on stream. So it's funny that they explicitly mentioned platinum, and up on the arena ladder. So for those that aren't familiar, Magic Online has tournaments that happen every weekend, including Standard. And this is Kainrich Reinhardt. I'm going to misbutcher Kane's last name. I apologize. Kane, I have a last name that gets butchered too. They played Jeskai Hinata in this tournament. And they played Hinata Mirrors all 8 rounds of their tournament. Logan Nettles also played Hinata. And he played 7 mirrors, but then ultimately lost to Mardu. So clearly, the point I am trying to make here is Standard is diverse and healthy, except for maybe this Mardu deck because it beat Logan in the top 4. So I think there's a good chance that the Mardu deck perhaps should be banned. And what I mean by this, by pulling this up, is they explicitly mentioned the arena ladder while not mentioning anything else. And this feels like a lie by omission. And maybe it's unintentional. Maybe there's nothing malicious here. But it's like, oh, we're looking at this and this is healthy. And it could be that this is healthy. But like, also doing this without explicitly mentioning stuff like this feels wrong at best. So the neat thing about data is that while data doesn't lie, it's very easy to lie with data by omission especially. And so the good chance that this is true, but like obviously there are problems. And if you want my game theory breakdown of it, you want to know part of the reason why this deck is so good, chat? Does this deck care about Meat Hook Massacre? Oh, it doesn't. Weird. So it's almost like a lot of the creature decks have been pushed out of the format for a variety of reasons, and that leaves decks like this that can by and large ignore the pile of sweepers in the format as the best thing to be doing by a good margin. So when you make the format hostile to creatures, non-creature decks rise up way over the top. I don't really have comments on Modern, Legacy, or Vintage. I haven't really been playing these formats, so if you want opinions on those formats, go find other people that play them, but yeah. So just to give a concise summary at the end here, because apparently I've been rambling for 12 minutes about this ban list. I actually think both of these changes are reasonable, but I dislike that Winota is yet again being singled out for something that not only Winota does. If you want to pick on Winota and remove Winota from a format, please pick on and remove the rest of the things that also commit the sins you're complaining about Winota committing. And I like that Treasure Cruise and Dig Through Time are spells that we will hopefully be able to cast in Pioneer and hopefully soon Explorer this summer. Hopefully these are in the summer card drop for Explorer for the future, right? These cards are sweet. That sounds great. All right, if you missed any of this whole 13 minutes and some change will be up on YouTube in a hot second.